Hi, my name is Chelsea, and welcome to Collective Self, an intentional community where you are always welcome. I am so happy to see you today. Today, I want to tell you fear is not real. And if you're interested on hearing how you can combat fear, then please stay tuned. But before I get into that, I want to give you the affirmation of the day, which is, I allow myself to live in love instead of fear. I allow myself to live in love instead of fear. And without further ado, let's get into it. So, in meditation recently, I decoupled my identity from fear. And by doing that, I was really able to acknowledge the three ways that fear shows up for humans and how to combat those. Because even though fear can be at times a healthy response, if you are in danger, for example, fear doesn't need to be necessarily a part of your everyday experience or existence. And I believe that at a certain point, most people tend to sort of fall into the trap of taking things that are fear-based and thinking they're part of their personality. So the first way that fear shows up is dysregulation of the nervous system, right? When we go into flight or fight mode. And what ends up happening is that if we never regulate our nervous system after our nervous system becomes dysregulated, we will consistently be living in a state of anxiety, fear, and panic. And even when things happen that normally, if our nervous system would have been regulated, we would have responded to in a nice, kind, mindful way. If our nervous system is not regulated, it can make it 10 times harder to respond in a way that serves you. So that's the first way that fear shows up. And that is normal because if you are in danger, for example, if you're in danger, for example, it's really a great tool to have because your body is saying, hey, how are we going to get out of this dangerous situation? So I'm not shitting on the fight or flight response. I'm just saying that our nervous systems do literally interact with the rest of our body, and it tells our body how we're supposed to be moving, and impacts the brain and impacts everything. So for that, I will say, try to regulate the nervous system. Do yoga to regulate the nervous system. Even if you need to regulate your nervous system every single day, after work, after school, after whatever you're doing, do that. Take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, even just compressing the chest, right? For me, I have a weighted blanket, or sometimes I ask my partner, will you lay on me, right? And the weight helps me to regulate again. But yeah, find what works for you. Find what works for your nervous system and find what works for your schedule. Everything in this life is meant for you. So always find what fits you. Don't always listen to what I have to say or what others have to say. Take what resonates and leave the rest. Okay, and the second way that fear shows up is through expecting the worst, anticipation of pain, anticipation of discomfort, right? You know that feeling when you don't want to do something, imagine you're about to go get a piercing. Or you're thinking about, I'm gonna die, right? It's the feeling of I'm gonna be in pain. I'm gonna be in pain. It's gonna be painful. It's gonna be uncomfortable. I don't want that, right? That's also another form of fear. And where does that come from? That comes from you expecting the worst. When we have that form of fear of oh my God, I'm going to be in pain, right? And I'm not talking about for situations where you're obviously going to be in pain, right? It makes sense that if you were going to go into a surgery that you're I'm not looking forward to being in pain. But even if you are going into surgery, you could still go into it with the mindset that my recovery is going to be smooth and easy. The pain is going to be great. I'm not even going to really need pain meds. I only take Tylenol. Anything that you want, you can have. Anything that you believe comes to fruition. So even in that case, you can always have the outcome that you want, that you desire, right? So begin to believe that things are happening for your good, but begin to believe that every single thing that you're going to go do is going to be great for you. It's going to go well. You're going to enjoy yourself. You're going to have fun, Or maybe not have fun, but whatever it is that excites you, whatever feeling state excites you, Imagine that that's what you're going to receive when you go do things. When you're going into a situation where you're feeling so uncomfortable and you're like, I didn't even want to go to this party, but I thought I should go. Blah, blah, blah. If you decide to go, expect great things to be there for you. Expect that there is going to be something there for you that if you would have stayed home, you wouldn't have received, and it's going to move you closer to your desires, or it could be your desire itself, right? You never know. But if you expect bad things happen, even if it's not to the extent of what happens in your head. There's a certain perpetuation that you're doing when you are when you're expecting the worst, So learn to expect the best. Learn to assume the best. It's called the law of assumption for a reason. If you assume bad things are going to happen, bad things will happen, right? So assume good things. Assume good things are going to happen. And the last thing is that, and this is why I say fear is really not real, is that fear is really just the awareness. Fear is the awareness of the unknown. Fear is the awareness of the unknown, right? When you have a fear, let's say that you just quit your job because you're going all in on you, and you're like, you know what? I quit my job, and now you're just feeling afraid. You're like, oh my God, I'm scared. Why are you scared? You're scared because you're aware that you don't know what's going to happen. You're scared because you're like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what my future holds. And that's not something to be afraid of. The unknown is a beautiful place to be. You know why? Because from nothing comes everything. And you have to remember this, right? Whatever you had before wasn't desirable for you, right? And here you are now in this present moment, moving into an unknown space, an unknown territory in which you can receive everything that you want. And that's so beautiful, because a lot of the time we're looking at the unknown, right? With the fear, with the expectation of something negative happening, right? And that's why we're afraid, because we're like, I don't know what's going to happen. It's probably going to be something bad, right? And that comes back to the assumption of assuming the worst. Do not assume the worst. Expect the best. And when you expect the best, you do not need to fear the unknown anymore, because the unknown is a beautiful place in which everything that you could ever possibly think that you want or desire, it's yours. It's literally yours. Okay? Do not fear what you do not know. Instead, embrace it with open arms, because there you can find more of yourself. You can find more of what you want, more of what you love, and release what you don't want. Release what you don't want. You can throw all the shit you don't want into the unknown. I don't know where that shit's going, but I know what I want, and I know that I'm gonna receive it. Even if you don't know what you want, that's also part of being in the unknown, right? There's almost a dread that sometimes comes over me when I'm like thinking, I'm like, oh, what do I want? And it's like, I don't know. And it's the feeling of like, oh, I have to figure it out. I don't know. It's overwhelming. But at the same time, I'm not overwhelmed, right? I'm not overwhelmed by it necessarily. By being overwhelmed, you're just simply aware of your abundance. So in the unknown, I can have all the abundance that I want, right? Which is why I'm overwhelmed, because there's millions, trillions of possibilities for me to choose. And instead of claiming that I'm overwhelmed by the possibilities, I'm excited by the abundance that I can receive from not knowing every single thing that's going to happen in my life, from not knowing every single thing that's going to happen in a day. That's what we're here to do, unfold the beautiful life that we have been given. It's a present. It's a present, literally. Do not fear the unknown. Fear is not real. Anytime you're feeling that fear of like, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen, just remember that you're just aware of like yourself as source, as God, as all the beautiful things that could happen, and enjoy. Assume that whatever's gonna happen is gonna be for your highest good, your highest benefit, your highest joy, your highest love, and watch it unfold for you like magic. And with that, I just hope that this resonated for you. If it did, please leave a like, comment below how it resonated for you, and subscribe. And you can join our intentional community at Facebook at CollectiveSELF, and follow us on TikTok also at CollectiveSELF, where I post shorts. I really do hope you enjoyed it.